Do you think you will replace schools in the next 10 years?
Yes. I think in the next 5 years, more people globally will be members of Sellit.com than they will to local schools, local universities, your local colleges. The person in the relationship who holds all the power is the one who cares the least. The best salespeople who make the most money are amazing at asking questions. The greatest businesses of the next generation are going to be those that use technology to empower people, not replace them.
What's like the most weird, absurd question that you've been asked as a real estate broker?
Somebody who said, "Where will my kangaroo go?"
Lovely, lovely. What's up, Ryan? How's it going? Welcome to the Chill Hour.
Everything is great, man. Excited to talk to you. I've been a big fan, so this is fun.
You're being very humble about it. How's life in New York? What's happening?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot. It's busy, the post-COVID, a lot of people are back in New York. The restaurants are busy, the streets are busy. It's actually nice out today. Finally, it's been really, really cold. It's been winter. So, but New York is the best. I've been here for a long time, and I still love it. I go everywhere else, and then I like coming back.
Where were you born? Just out of curiosity, were you born in New York?
No, I was born in Texas, in Houston, Texas, and then I
Okay.
moved around a lot. So on my way up to New York City, I think I moved 10, 12 times, bouncing around kind of most of the United States. And then I went to college in upstate New York, and then I came down to New York City in 2006.
So it's been quite a while. It's been like what? My math is a little poor, but it's been about like 18 years since you've moved to to New
It's
York.
been a while. I've been in the real estate business for about 15 years, and I've been in New York for almost 20 years, which is a lot, man. Time flies. It goes by so, and the
When did
city's
you
changed a lot. I've been here.
when did you first move out of Texas?
Oh, I was a little kid. I did up until I would say I was in Texas until I was five.
Uh-huh.
When I was 5 years old, we moved to a place in New York called Long Island. It's not New York City, it's just a different part of the state. And then from there, we moved to Massachusetts, to Boston. So we went to Boston. From there, I went back to New York, but I went upstate. And from there, we went to Colorado and Arizona and then Florida. And then I came down to New York City.
So what would be like a striking feature that brings you back to New York all the time?
The people, more than anything. New York City is an island and it's not getting any bigger. And there are 9 million people here. On Saturday, on a work day, there's 12 million people here. And it is the most intellectually diverse and curious city I've ever been to. A lot of cities are very dominant with one industry. And I think New York used to be dominated by the finance industry for a long time. But today there's so many different industries. There's creative, there's technology, right? There's a lot of construction, there's a lot of finance, there's just a lot of different type of people, and it's incredibly expensive to be here. So for anyone that can afford to live here, they're a hustler, right? They're a hard worker. And so that's why I came here at first. It's a classic Frank Sinatra quote of, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. If you're willing to sacrifice what you need to sacrifice to live in a 100 square foot box with no bathroom just to be here, you're willing to do a lot. And so those are the types of people that I like to be around, right? People that have a get up and go attitude.
How does your day in the life of Ryan look like?
I am married.
Okay.
We have one daughter for now. So we have a baby right now. We have my mother-in-law lives with us. So she helps, she's basically our live-in nanny, right? So she's our help. We have people that help us in the house with cleaning and all that. But on a typical day, I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I go to the gym from 5 to 6:30 or 5:30 to 7, depending on the day. I start work at about 7:30 a.m. and I go until about 8 p.m. Unless I have a dinner or an event or something like that. I'm booked on the 15-minute mark, and so I go from meeting to meeting to meeting. So with you right now, I've got 4 blocks of time together, right? So we block this for an hour, which is 4 15-minute blocks. That way I never get sucked into, a 5-minute phone call, but it's a half an hour block on my calendar, an hour block. And I think we all just follow our calendars these days.
Yeah.
We run multiple businesses, but I'm very, very focused on our education business and on sellit.com and everything that we're doing over there. And I spend a lot of time creating educational materials and coachings and trainings and mentorship and really helping define what the world looks like for the entrepreneur and for that gig worker and the person that doesn't want a standard 9 to 5 job. As well as working with the enterprises, because we do a lot of enterprise sales training for businesses. So there's a lot of that. And then I'm also a salesperson. I sell real estate as well. So, before this podcast, I was showing a $20 million Soho penthouse. Right after this podcast, I have to go show a $53 million apartment on the Upper West Side. So and then I sit with you, and then I run uptown, then I come back. I think we're creating more content for sellit.com, and that's kind of my days, all 7 days a week.
So you don't take weekends off?
No, I'm in sales. There's no day off. I mean, I guess I could, like, physically I could take days off, but we're not, when you're in sales, you're not salaried, right? You're commissioned. And so I take vacations, with my family. We go to Greece. I travel a lot for work, though.
Yeah.
I'm always giving speeches, around the world. I think next month I'm in Egypt, Australia, Dubai, Los Angeles, Chicago, and those are only the ones that I can remember. And so, I love connecting with salespeople who sell everything, right? All different types of industries around the world, because those are the people we get to help every single day as we build the largest sales training platform in the world. But no, I don't get to take a whole lot of time off. Maybe one day I'll meet you again.
One day I wish I can get more than 4 15-minute blocks from you and just sit with you and just have, say, like a coffee, and just chat about life and how life looks like and how much better it has gotten after this podcast goes live. But yeah, one day, hopefully. Let's just deep dive into sales and selling, right?
Sure.
When did you first sort of know that, okay, you have a talent for selling? When did you first realize that, okay, this happened in my life and I can really, really sell? When did that moment kick in?
So even if I go back a little bit, I'll tell you, if you had said, Ryan, you're going to get into sales, I would have cried. Because when I think about sales or salespeople, for a long time before getting into it, you think like, ugh, you think that's gross. And I don't want to be a salesperson. I want to be a software engineer. I want to be a movie star. I want to be a this. I want to be a banker. You want to have this, you have this false idea of what you think your career is going to be. So that was the mistake that I made. And I think it's a mistake a lot of people make, because we deal with billionaires, right? All the people you know of, as they buy and sell their personal homes, right, across the United States and around the world. And they will tell you, yes, I own this company, right? Yes, I do this. But what I really do is manage the sales team, and I sell our business all day long. And so as I started to see that, I was like, everyone's in sales. Even authors, people that they write a book. They could write a book for their mom. It's not going to pay their bills. So you got to write a book that sells, and you've got to go out and sell it. You got to sell yourself, which is why we spend so much time talking about personal branding these days, and how the platforms are just so wide and available now to build your own sales brand so that you can sell yourself, whatever it is you want to sell. But, I spent a long time in theater when I was a kid. I did movies and television and theater. That's what I wanted to do. That's the whole reason I came to New York, to do Broadway. And I never thought I was going to get into sales of anything, until I realized, wait a minute, I'm selling myself. I go into an audition. Sure, I'm showing my craft. What I'm really doing is selling the people in front of me on why me. Why me? And also, why not me? You see anyone around you that's money, okay, or doing whatever they're doing, the question you have to ask yourself every day is, why not me?
Mm-hmm.
How can I put myself in that position so that the choice could be me? And then I ran out of money in the summer of 2008. And so I got my real estate license so I could have my own schedule, which is a total lie, because when you're a real estate agent and you schedule is not your own, actually, right?
I
It's everybody else.
when I started off with my content creation journey, and I was working on a startup of mine when I was in college back in India. I mean, I'm still in India, but back in my home city, Calcutta, which is the eastern part of the country. When I was in college, I used to dread taking up a job. I used to be like, no, I don't want a job. I don't feel like working a 9 to 5. Cut short to now, when I create content full time and I'm a podcaster, I feel I'm working 24/7. So it's
Right.
actually more than a 9 to 5. It's like 24/7, because at 2 o'clock in the morning, I can feel like, oh, that's a great idea. I should get up
Yep.
and start working on the ideas. I'm sure it's pretty much the same for you as well.
Sure. Yeah. Because at 2 a.m., like you just said, you're going to wake up thinking about more ceiling. What else can I do? Where else can I push myself? How can I diversify? How can I sell more? And the way in which you sell, even today, with all the tools, the AI, the metaverse, the websites, all the competition that's out there, it's still human beings transferring money to another human being at the end of the day for a transfer of services or goods, right?
Yep. Yep.
So do it through a website, right? There are human beings who run, you know, I don't know, Amazon.com here in the United States.
Mm.
Uh, 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 they are figuring out how their website can connect with you as a human being, even though you're still using a platform. And for me in real estate, we have platforms, but no one's buying something for $1 million or $20 million or $100 million just through a website. And your ability to connect with those people, both in person and digitally, defines what level of success you're going to have and how high that ceiling is going to be. And what I realized was all of my theater training, all the acting work that I'd done before, all the breathing work, all the eye contact, all the little skills you learn when you're trying to be an actor that they teach you in school, things like when you speak to people, you listen to them so you can respond. You don't listen to them so you can just reply with what you want to say. Actually have a conversation, because people hate being sold, but they love shopping with friends. And it's a skill set no one teaches. There was no sales course in college when I went there, right? There didn't exist. I couldn't even take it if I wanted to. And it's the biggest muscle that I need today, whether I'm in the theater or selling t-shirts or doing anything that I'd want to do. And it really unlocked that mindset for me that sales isn't a job. It's not even a career, it's a movement. And it's a muscle you want to continue to build every single day.
And that's very interestingly you put it, because when I go to colleges and when I go to universities and when I sort of do talks and speaking engagements, I always say this one thing to wherever I go, which is, there are three skill sets that is important irrespective of whatever you're doing in your life, whether you're doing a 9 to 5 job, or you're into entrepreneurship, or you're into personal branding, or you're doing whatever, right? Three things that's going to be inherently important skill sets for your life. Number one would be sales, number two would be writing, and number three would be communication. And communication, the way you talk to people, the way you can write people, the way you can articulate properly in your written, because half the people don't know how to write an email. I've
Yeah.
received emails where like the entire body is empty and the entire body's matter is in the subject line. And I was like, I'm not going to open this email, because this email is like full of subject line, and the body is actually empty. It has nothing in it. So I would not open the email, and like forget about replying to the email. I would not even open it.
Right.
Right. So I think that's where I think the mindset comes into picture. And you very rightly point out that sales essentially becomes very, very, very important. Now I want to go a little deeper into sales. um, there is a sort of a stereotype also in the Indian context when you hear the word sales. You know, when you hear people that, oh, he or she is a salesman, they'll be like, oh, I don't want anything, thank you so much, I'll talk to you later, bye bye. And then they'll like shut him off. There are door-to-door salespeople who ring the bell and they'll be like, hey, I've got a packet of chips, would you like to buy them? And I'm like, no, 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 I'm not interested. And I'll slam the door at their faces, right? um, those salespeople are out on the streets to complete a particular target. And once we shut the door at their faces, they're not able to meet their targets. So, why is there such a stereotype when it comes to sales? do you actually sell the product or do you sell the emotion behind it?
So sales is one in every industry, like we said. The
Yep.
person selling chips on the streets, the person selling financial advice, the person selling advertising for their podcast, right? Everybody is in it. There's different
Mm-hmm.
levels though, just like anybody. You have the door-to-door salesperson. That's a tough job. You have the real estate salesperson. That's a tough job, but also far more rewarding, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the financial services salesperson. Yeah, we're all in sales. And so I think there's a stereotype that sales is only when you're annoying somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to annoy, I don't want to take people's money. I don't want to know, I don't want to do that. But that's not really, they're saying they're using the wrong word, right? They're using the wrong word. What they don't want to do is they don't want to do, telemarketing. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do door-to-door prospecting, right? They
Yeah.
don't want to sell chips on the street. Those are very specific things that they don't want to do, but it all gets lumped into sales. This selling really is a transfer of enthusiasm that helps somebody make a decision that they were going to make anyway, but now they're going to make it with you with the right frame of context and information. If you think
Got it.
about sales being sleazy or taking anything from somebody, then you're not in sales, you're a con artist, you're a thief. Sales is actually real. The best salespeople, they're helping people. They're
Mm-hmm.
guiding people. They're helping them make money. They're helping them get a great product that they didn't know they even needed. And people make decisions to spend money with two things, right? They make it with their wallet, so how much money they have, and they make it with their heart. It is
Yeah.
very, very hard to negotiate with someone's wallet because
Mm-hmm.
that's attached to logic, and sometimes they only have so much money. The heart is much easier to negotiate with. You can negotiate with somebody's emotions, right? You can have that conversation. If I'm selling chips or snacks, I'm not selling them to people who are not hungry. You're finding a need. And how do I find that need and actually make it a want? How do I turn that into something that's going to generate actual income for me?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
So
that's what
how
I
do you
focus.
how do you actually play it psychologically while selling? How do you figure out that, okay, this is what the consumer wants, and I'm gonna convert that consumer sort of want into a need, so that they essentially need the product, without which they won't be able to, say, without the I mean, with the lack of a better word, survive. But how do you sort of play it psychologically? How do you know that the customer wants this, and how do you sort of get into the consumer psyche and try and sell it exactly to that customer?
Well, sales is all about volume. So you want to have as many customers as possible.
Okay.
My first sales book that I wrote, which is called Sell It Like Serhant, was initially called Balls Up. So how do you have as many balls in the air as possible so that you can sell as much as possible? But also, if a ball drops, so a deal dies or someone yells at you or you're tired, you don't quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because job of being a commission salesperson where you have no steady state income,
Yep.
be an emotional roller coaster. It can be hard. That's why most people don't do it. Most people don't do it for one. Most people get out of the business too. I know, like in my world, as a real estate salesperson in New York City, the turnover rate for those salespeople is over 80%. That's the failure rate. Over 80% that go to zero. And so you have to understand that it is a volume business. You want to have as many conversations as you possibly can. And you don't want to waste your time. So I didn't know I was doing this, but when I first started, as I said, talking to pregnant women, um, pregnant people, I, you know, I didn't realize it, but I was presenting a solution to a problem they had
Mm-hmm.
without even understanding that I was doing it because their family was about to grow and they needed more space. And I
So
was
so
providing.
sorry to cut you, but did you have like a weird experience selling it to pregnant women in Manhattan? Did you like have a weird experience? Do you have like a weird absurd story to share when you first started out selling property to pregnant women out there, sitting in cafes, probably?
The weirder experiences are when I mistook someone for being pregnant who was not.
Oh, oh
But
shit.
listen, I was young. sometimes you
How old
swing
were
and you
you?
miss.
How old were you?
I just got into New York. I was 24.
Ah, that's pretty young. Yeah, that's pretty young.
I graduated when I was 21, 21, 22. And I moved to New York when I was 22. I gave myself 2 years,
Hmm.
2 years to do theater, be an actor. And if I couldn't support my monthly budget as an actor after 2 years, I told myself I had to go and figure something else out. I had to at least figure out a way to pay my rent and pay for food. The world isn't free. But yes, there were some instances that were not fun, but it's okay. I think the other thing that I learned so much while being an actor and doing theater was rejection and how to get through it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the other reason a lot of people get out of quote unquote sales or they don't like doing it and they just want to sit and have a job is because they don't like being told no. They don't know how to act with it. They don't know how to respond to it. Their parents never taught them the power of no. The schools never told them no, or they've been pushed down their whole life and they just don't want to deal with it anymore. You try to be an actor in New York City, you get told no 10 times a day because of how you look, because of your face, your teeth, your beard, your nose. It's very, very personal. And so when I got into real estate, I saw that a lot of other people had a hard time with rejection, but the rejection is about the real estate. So for me, I was like, I just spent 2 years being made fun of and rejected and not paid because of the color of my hair. Uh, I'm good if someone wants to reject me because they don't like an apartment. Not that big of a deal. I'll move on to the next one. There's 10 million people here. It's going to be fine. And so I was able to get through that rejection because I'd never made money anyway. It wasn't like I was going from a high paying job or this. It wasn't like I was born wealthy. My expectations were low.
Hmm.
I set low expectations. My expectations were literally survive until I realized what the output could potentially be in sales for whatever I want to sell. And now I can sell anything. If I want to go sell pools, I can sell pools. I want to sell entire buildings, I can sell buildings. You want me to sell advertising, I can sell advertising. You want to go create something, you want to be a creator. The amount of people that now want to be YouTube influencers and stars and creator stars, you grow a following with your talent, but you won't actually make an income unless you know how to sell that talent to brands and different businesses that want to license your platform that way. And you have to understand how to do that. And so my newest book is called Brand It Like Serhant. And there's a whole part in there that teaches creators how to sell and how you can go from making 10, 20, $30,000 a year to making 6 and 7 figures.
That's interesting. You mentioned that now I mean, even if you can't, or even if you're able to build a brand, and if you're unable to sell it, then there's no point building a brand, because then if you're not unable to sell it, then what's the point, right? And you mentioned that you can sell anything that you want. I want to like quickly jump into like give me like three quick selling techniques that have a higher chance of closing. So say for example, you were to sell me this pen, okay? You were to sell me
Okay.
this pen and I'm your customer.
Yep.
Give me like three selling techniques that you're going to use to sell me this pen, and that have like a higher chance of closing. Go on.
So my goal when I meet with anyone is initially to create a relationship. Okay. So it's never actually about the pen. It's not about the pen. It's not about the thing.
Hmm.
So selling technique one, the first thing you do is what we call the 2 C's with anyone you meet, either online, in DM, in person. The first C is you give them a compliment. Okay, you're complimenting them. You see this even when you go on websites. You're immediately being complimented at how wealthy you are, how beautiful you are. Look at all these amazing things you can afford. Look at all of this. The website has been programmed to understand other websites you've been to so that you can be complimented the minute you get there. In person, it's obviously much easier, right? Your t-shirt is awesome. What's that tattoo? That's so cool. When did you get it? Right? Give them a compliment. Your hair, did you blow dry it? Is it mousse? What's in it? Right? Something that you thought about, I give you a compliment. And all that does is it starts to build initial trust. Because if I
Hmm.
compliment you on something, now you say, see, this shirt was the right shirt. Awesome. I like this guy. Then you find something in common. And what might be in common might be that you need a pen, might be that you need a pen that never runs out of ink, might be that the pen is super cheap. and just put it in your car or keep it in your pocket. So that's one. The second thing is what I call the 3 F's. Okay, super important. Follow up, follow through, follow back. This is the secret sauce, really, okay, to selling today. And it's across platforms. So no matter who you meet someone, you want to sell them a pen, and then they turn around and they don't want to buy your pen. No problem. But because I just did the 2 C's, I now know who you are. And I'm going to be in contact with you. I'll be in touch with you. And so I'm going to follow up with you, right? And follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. And then eventually you might respond to me. And then I'm going to make sure I follow through with everything I say I'm going to do. If I'm going to get back to you by 5 p.m. because you don't actually need 1 pen, you need 100 pens for your office, I'm going to get back to you by 4:30, not by 5. Okay. So I'm following up, I'm following through, and then I'm following back with everybody I've ever met, ever touched base with. This is a relationship business. Right? Every business is about people. It's all about relationships, but you're consistently. Okay. So that's 2. And then the third thing that I'll say is I have a closing process called CODO in English. So CODO in English. So close on day 1 is what
That's
it means.
interesting. Go deeper on that.
So what it means is, because I've worked with salespeople in all industries all over the world now for 15 years. And everyone says, yeah, I can talk to people. I follow up with them. I can make them my friend, but they don't ever buy anything. I don't know. Or they went and they bought it online. They bought from someone else.
Yeah.
It's because you didn't move to close on day 1. It doesn't mean that they're spending money with you on day 1. What it means is you're setting the expectation that this is our relationship. I'm your friend. I provide a service. This is the expectation for how our relationship is going to go. So I want to sell you a pen. So I'm closing on day 1. I'm not closing tomorrow. I'm not closing in a year. I have an incentive right now. 50% off pens, 25% off pens. Okay. If you buy this pen by 5 o'clock, it comes with X, it comes with Y. What's the reward? And we're having that conversation today. And so if they then say, okay, great, I don't really need it though, come back to me in a week, no problem, if they're still available.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're creating that urgency. So use the 2 C's, the 3 F's. It's also incredibly important to be confident. So what I'll say is as a piece of human advice to anyone, I wish someone had told me this before. I'd say one of my secrets is, and not just in sales, but in life, right? You want to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend, a husband or a wife. You want a promotion at your current job. Anything you want to do. You need to stop acting like the you that you are today and start acting like the you that you want to be 1 year from now. Who is that person? What car do they drive? How much money do they have in the bank? What are they wearing? What are they talking about? What excites that person? You're going to be that person anyway. So that person is your boss. That's who you work for. When you're in sales, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a solopreneur, every day, even if you do have a low-income job, the person you really work for is you in the future. And you want to make sure that person's life is great. You want that person to be happy. Otherwise, that person could fire you somehow.
Yep. So
how I in the confidence of those shoes every day, that is a mindset shift that totally changed my life.
That's pretty interesting. Who is Ryan 1 year from now?
He's in India with you, celebrating all the success that we've had from this podcast, and we're opening up an office in your city. That would be awesome.
That'll be freaking great. Yeah. I mean,
I'd have to help. I've been there before.
Yeah, I mean, or I could be in New York, sitting in your office, probably opening up my office in New York. That'll be great. Yeah.
Right, it's a competition. Let's do it. Let's see.
I mean, we'll get to Manhattan, we'll get to New York, we'll get to New Jersey, we'll travel the world. We'll probably sell it like Serhant, and we'll try and close as many deals as possible. We'll do the Kodo technique. We'll try and close on day 1. So that is something that I'm going to look back and say, oh, 1 year back, I had this conversation with Ryan. And 1 year later, I'm here sitting in his New York office, trying to open up my first office in the city. So that's pretty great. Just want to segue a little. What kind of music do you listen to?
Depends on my mood. You know, I'm a salesperson. I'm emotional and sensitive. So, it depends. Like if I'm at the gym, I listen to like hard rock, right? Rock and roll, older stuff, some newer stuff. In the office, we have, standard pop hits. I'll go to concerts for totally different types of music. Again, these are all like American groups, but I think my most recent concerts were like a total mix from um, everything from like the Postal Service, which is very emo, to
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, which is very pop, to Nine Inch Nails, which is very heavy metal slash, I guess techno a little bit. But it depends.
Um,
Depends. I go through various phases. Sometimes I'll just be obsessed with DJs. Sometimes I'll just want to listen to country all day long because I did spend a lot of time on a ranch when I was young.
yeah, yeah. I have a very interesting question. At least it's pretty interesting in my head, and I hope it's interesting to you and the viewers listening to us. What kind of movies have you watched, and do you think have you've learned selling and sales from? Is there any like? Can you give me like a list of 3 movies that you've learned selling and sales from?
I would say the first one that comes to mind, and it's a real estate movie, is Glengarry Glen Ross. So that is an Alec Baldwin movie. It's older, right? That's where ABC Always Be Closing came about. You learn a lot from sales in that movie. I hate saying Wolf of Wall Street to this, but I think Wall Street, Wall Street 2, Wolf of Wall Street, kind of you learn the good things and the bad things, obviously,
Yeah,
about
yeah.
selling. And then I guess my third option would be, this is so different, but there's a Matthew McConaughey movie called Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. It's a romantic comedy, but in there, Michael Douglas, who's a ghost, I guess, and this is about dating, says something really, really, really important for salespeople, where he's talking about dating and how to go meet a girl at a bar. And what he says is, the person in the relationship who holds all the power is the one who cares the least. So if you are in a bar and you really, really, really want to meet this girl, she has all the power. Okay. So it's also the power of the takeaway, the pull. And that's something we do in sales all the time. I'm not pushing anyone to buy something. I can't force you. I'm not in your bank, right? I don't have your wallet. It's up to you. And if they want it, they'll buy it. So sometimes you have to take it away. The person in the relationship who holds all the power is the one who cares the least. If you remember anything from this podcast, remember that from the Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
That's a pretty interesting take. I'm gonna speak to my partner about it, and she'll probably be a little happier listening to this movie recommendation from you. So yeah, thanks for the recommendation. I was actually supposed to give you. I mean, my recommendation would have been The Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, it would have been my number one take because I've watched it like so many times, and now I'm like, oh, great, Rob Down Jr. Let's go, let's kill it, let's kill it, let's kill it. But he's just been like taking calls all the time. So, but coming back to sales, right? In terms of selling, for sure you know that okay, this is the customer I'm selling to, right? Um, how important would be networking here? Like, how important is it to grow your network here? And if you can give me like, because my audience has people who are beginning out their journey, and we're talking about solopreneurship here. So how can beginners network better? Give me like 3 tips.
So one of our courses actually, that we teach in one of the trainings at sellit.com is our sphere of influence
Okay.
course. Okay. And I look at a sphere of influence as a number of rings. Okay? It's a number of rings, and it starts in the middle with you. Okay? You are core. If we think about building your personal brand and what makes you unique, whether you're just trying to make friends or you're trying to sell things, you have to understand who you are as a human being. What makes you unique? What's your value proposition? Why should anyone be your friend? Why should anyone talk to you? Why should anyone be interested in what you have to say before you can go and meet other people and talk to other people? Okay. So one trick that I would use, because I was an introvert. I was very shy growing up. It's the whole reason I got into theater, because I was more comfortable pretending to be somebody else than I was of actually being myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was overweight. We were moving all the time. Like I told you, I had really bad skin. I had no self-confidence. And so I had to come up with a game. If I were in a party or I was in a room full of a lot of people and I wanted to quote unquote network or grow my sphere of influence, I would then make it a game and say, okay, I could stand in the corner on my phone. I could come here and talk to the same people I've spoken to every day. And then it's going to be a total waste of time. And on my deathbed, I'm going to wish I got this time back, because nothing good is going to come of this, nothing productive. So I'm going to go and meet the smartest person in the room. That's my hook. I'm going to go tap on people's shoulders. I'm going to meet them and I'm going to say, hey, I'm looking for the smartest person in the room, and I think it's you. So you're starting with that compliment, and then you're opening up to see what they do. And everybody likes being told that they look smart, and everybody will talk to you. If you go up to them and say you're looking for the smartest person in the room, and I think it's you, they'll talk to you. Oh,
So
awesome.
okay,
Hey, what?
okay. Let's probably do like a dry run of it, right?
Sure.
Both of us are. I'll give you a scenario. Okay.
Yep.
Both of us are are in the same room, right?
Sure.
It's a house party. People are dancing,
Yep.
people are drinking. There's loud music on, and I'm the chase. So you have to approach me for something.
Sure.
And you come up to me and you'll be like, hey Deepak, I feel that I wanted to speak to the smartest person in the room, and I feel you're the smartest person in the room. So yeah, how about taking out 5 minutes and having a conversation? And for example, I don't
Okay.
respond appropriately.
Sure. Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room because I've been told I'm dumb, like I'm stupid. Why do you think I'm the smartest person in the room? What would be your response?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say let's have a 5-minute conversation, because no one wants to commit to anything. But I would say, Deepak, I'm here at this party and I'm looking for the smartest person in the room, and I think you're it. You then tell me that's weird because I'm not the smartest. Everyone tells me I'm dumb. And then what you do, okay? So you ask me for three things. First thing is that's how you start the conversation. Okay. Then I immediately go into what we talked about before, the two C's. Okay. The way we talked about it. So I'm complimenting you there. I'll find something else to compliment you with. And then I'm finding something that we have in common. Maybe it's something that we have at the party here. Oh, we're both here for Amanda. We're both here for Salma. We're both here for whoever. Okay. Maybe it's your business. People tell you you're dumb. Why? Oh, well, because I do podcasting. Oh my God, I love podcasts. What's your podcast? And then I do what we call the funnel technique. Okay. The best salespeople who make the most money are amazing at asking questions, because adults and kids, but adults specifically, love the sound of their own voice. Look at all the people who have podcasts, right? They love hearing themselves talk. And so the more questions you ask, and you start big questions. Who are you? Where are you from? What brought you here? And as the conversation goes in, think about a funnel, right? The funnel narrows and narrows and narrows and narrows. And you just ask questions. People love when people ask them questions, right? Especially if they're authentic and real and you're actually curious. Now, if you're not curious and you're just doing it because you heard this guy, Ryan from New York, on a podcast say to do it, then don't do it, because that's weird and that's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have real questions that you could ask, so why do people think you're dumb? Go into it. Well, when I was a little kid, where'd you grow up? Oh, crazy. I have a family member who's there. Did you like it there? Start asking these questions that get down to the narrow part of the problem that you're trying to solve for, which really is, I want your contact information. How do I follow up with you? And then we
Mm-hmm.
go into the steps: follow up, follow through, follow back. How do we stay in touch, man? You're awesome. I'm going to go meet somebody else. They look like the second smartest person in the room. So I'm going to go. How do I stay in touch with you? Maybe you don't give me any information, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
you probably do is say, hey, just follow me on social or follow me on Twitter. No problem, right? It's pretty hard to meet a stranger and have a 1, 2, 3, or 4 minute conversation with them. And if you ask them, how do I stay in touch with you? Typically, they don't say no. Typically, they don't say, I'd rather not. If they do that, then you just did a bad job of making them your friend. And also, you know what? You don't have to win everybody. Like we said, it's a volume business, right? You want to know as many people as you possibly can
Right,
to
right.
increase the chances of your success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every large sale I've ever done has come because of somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you meet someone who introduces you to someone who introduces you to this person and this person and this person. I hate networking. I hate it. And I also didn't think I would ever be in sales. I also am not obsessed emotionally with real estate. I don't like have dreams about kitchens and hallways, right? If I did, I would have become an architect or a contractor.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I'd have to sell my services as an architect. I want everyone to use me. I'm the best architect ever. I want everyone to use me to build. I'm the best contractor. But what I love actually is people and getting to know more people. And I like deals. And I like the idea of leading a high income life, knowing that my income potential is 100% at my own calling,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
somebody who's determining when I can take time off, when I have to show up at work, and when I get to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a different world. In 2018, the number of 18-year-olds who were enrolling in college, which is going down drastically, and the number of people who elected to be entrepreneurs and go work for themselves, in 2018, that crossed globally. Okay? For people who file tax returns anyway, for people who pay taxes. I don't know what it is for people who don't. That number crossed in 2018, not during COVID, not now. It already happened. And so we are the generation of people, we're the movement of people that the world has now forgotten about because there are no systems set up to help us. There are no schools set up to help you sell more and learn more. I think in the next 5 years, more people globally will be members of sellit.com than they would have otherwise had we not existed. More people are going to go to sellit.com than they will to local schools, local universities, your local colleges, local vocational studies,
Mm-hmm.
because they're going to learn how to sell everything that they could potentially want to sell, even if it's a side hustle. And I'm super excited about that future.
That's pretty awesome, Ryan. I think you also mentioned about the education system, and you mentioned that a lot of people essentially will become customers and users of Sell It, where because schools don't teach you selling, just because a typical education system doesn't teach you selling, and that's what you guys do. So I think that's a pretty cool thing to say that, okay, there will be more people joining you guys more than they'll be joining typical schools and organizations and institutions. So I think that's a pretty interesting thing to see, say 5 years down the line. But you also mentioned a couple of things a couple of minutes back, and you mentioned about side hustle, right?
Yeah.
And since this podcast episode is essentially about um, side hustle and solopreneurship and how you can multiply your income to grow to a certain level, um, I actually wanted to understand, how can somebody begin their side hustle um, when they're pretty young, when they're like 18, 19 years old, and how can they turn it into a full-time career going forward in their life?
First thing you need to understand is how much money you need to survive.
Okay.
What's your 6-month window? How much
Okay.
is that?
So let me like break it down. Okay. So for example, let's probably bring in a case study here. Okay. Say an 18-year-old boy who is going to college in New York, in the United States of America, um, is living with his parents, so doesn't have to pay rent, so to speak. Doesn't have to take care of the food and water supply and gas because he's 18 and he's living with his parents, so doesn't have to take care of that for now. Uh, but he's going to college. He's doing his bachelor's degree in the US, but he's not happy with the education system in the US, and he wants to do something. Say he's interested in starting a business. He wants to make a product. Maybe he wants to sell rugs, for example, right? Um, he wants to start it as a side hustle, or say this 18-year-old boy wants to start creating content, right? But doesn't have any idea about content creation. Um, what does he do? Does he complete his bachelor's degree and also start creating content while he's doing his bachelor's degree, and then start thinking that, okay, now I don't have a fixed expense per month, so to speak, but I'm going to have it later on. and this is how much I need to earn. So how does this 18-year-old boy navigate his journey from studying right now, doing a bachelor's degree, to probably
Yep.
becoming a content creator and start selling and converting his side hustle currently to a full-time job, maybe say 3 years down the line?
Yep. So first things first. Okay. First things first, regarding college. Uh, my strong opinion is if your parents are paying for school for you, you should go. Why not? Right? No debt, and enjoy it, learn, meet people, go through it, sell rugs as your side hustle. Until you start selling so many rugs, you don't really need to go to college anymore because we are all outcome based. Right? So we're all about outcome. That's what we live in, right? We live in a capitalistic global society, most of us anyway. And we want an outcome. You go to college so you can go get a job.
There was a survey and it said that people who build successful businesses doesn't really correlate to them doing higher studies.
I'm far more concerned with people going into debt than I
Yep,
am with
yep.
any. Right? I don't think you should go to college with the demand or expectation that you're going to be able to build a big business. I think you can do that when you're 18 and you're smart and you're talented and you're going to work really, really hard,
Yeah.
just as well as 22 or 24 or 25 like I did,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
But if going to college means that you're going to have student debt, you have to take out loans, then I think you think really, really strongly about what that outcome is going to be for you.
yep.
Okay. But going back to your kind of example, the first thing you have to understand is, okay, so you want to sell rugs. The first thing you got to figure out is, where's that product? What is the product? Where are you going to sell rugs? What's the cost? What's the profit and loss going to look like? You
Mm-hmm,
have to understand what the product is and how you're going to sell that product. Are these rugs that you have already? Is there inventory? Is there supply? Or are you just doing drop shipping online and making a margin cost on that rug that you're purchasing from someone else, somewhere else, let's say in India, and you're selling to somebody, let's say in New York? How are you covering those shipping costs, all those costs? And are you just creating a website and a platform and content around your rugs being the absolute best? So first things first, where are these rugs? How much do they cost? And how much do you think you can sell them for? So you have to understand what the comps are. So comparables. What are those comparable sales? And then, because you're new and you're young, how are you undercutting your comparables?
mm-hmm,
So if someone's selling rugs for $100, let's say, just to keep it simple, how can you make your rug 70,
mm-hmm,
60, 50 at the same quality? How can you have to start, right? That great value add. So product first, right? Second is presence. Okay, so product, then you've got presence. Presence is in your personal brand and your content. So what makes your brand of your rugs and you as the person selling the rugs unique and special? This is what we do. I mean, part of sellit.com, I mean, a huge part of it is one-on-one coaching across. I mean, we have 30,000 people now in Sell It in 128 countries that we work with every day, helping them build their brands, build their strategies, build their businesses
mm-hmm.
for one thousandth or even more than that the cost of college or an MBA
Yeah,
program.
yeah.
So how do you then build that presence? And what you're looking to do is build something that is clear, concise, and memorable.
Mm-hmm,
So things you want to focus on. Most people make the mistake of just throwing a bunch of things at the wall and then seeing what sticks, and then nothing sticks. Because the mistake you make there is you're trying to be everything to everyone. And when you try to do that, you end up being nothing to no one. So, what is that clear, concise, and memorable presence that you can create, that you can put out there to the world? And maybe it's just on one platform, your local country social media channel, a local outlet, news, a newsletter, email. The power of
mm-hmm.
email is so big. Maybe what you do is a texting campaign. You're getting cell phone numbers and you're getting people to join your text message service. There's lots of people that do that now. Okay, so what is then that presence, and how are you then building it? How are you being consistent? Are you talking about that rug every day? Do you have a new promotion every single month? Are you putting it out there? These are the things that you have to figure out. And we could talk for 10 hours about how to do
Mm-hmm.
this,
I'm sure.
but I'd rather go learn how to do it at sellit.com and figure it out for you. Okay. And then how are you then pushing that message out? So you've got the product, got the presence. And then where's my push? How are you marketing it? How are you getting it in front of more eyeballs? How does the presence create awareness? How does a presence then create that attention? so that you're putting it in front of more people tomorrow than you did today. And you're
Mm-hmm.
rinsing, repeating that cycle over and over and over.
So product, presence, and distribution.
Yeah, yeah. Distribution or push. I like I like acronyms. Again, these are all in English, so I don't forget them. Like
Okay.
I have the two, so I don't forget it. That way I understand anytime I'm meeting someone, compliment in common. Okay, I'm building something, side hustle at nights and on weekends when I'm done with my schoolwork. All right, where's my product? How do I get product in the first place?
Yeah.
Presence of that product, and then how am I pushing the product out into the marketplace? I'm then learning, rinsing, repeating over and over and over.
That's pretty cool. I think what you're sort of building is a team of or a community of people where you're actually teaching or probably or maybe let's just put it this way. Do you think you will replace schools in the next 10 years?
Yes, not elementary school. I'm not teaching kids how to write,
Of course, of course.
but I think where do colleges come from? Why is it the dream to go to school? Now you could say, well, it's maturity. Sure. Okay, no problem. It's to learn and to really understand what you want to do with your life. Okay, sure. But remember, higher education started a long time ago, before the internet, before the transfer of information was instantaneous. So you would go to school for a much longer period of time because you had to,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
that's where information was. You go to elementary school because that's where the information was. You go to college because that's where the information was. You go to graduate school because that's where the information is. And then the outcome that you're paying for, you're not paying for information, the outcome you're paying for is the degree, because the degree, we are all told, leads to income, leads to that job, that security, that safety. But the world has changed. Everything has changed around us, but that process hasn't changed. But it hasn't changed because the system has been created to not change it. Because the
Mm-hmm.
system makes money on you learning. Because more people have to take out loans to go to school. And it's a way for banks to make money. And when banks make money, banks pay taxes. And when taxes are paid, governments can run. So that's the dream. You must go to college. You must get a degree. Now, listen, obviously, if you want to be a doctor, don't come to sellit.com. I'm not teaching anyone how to sell brains. Okay. If you want to be a lawyer, do not go to sellit.com. You have to go to law school. Okay. If you want to be a tradesman, I'm not teaching people how to create concrete. But there are now hundreds of millions of people who are involved in selling something, whether it's themselves, a product, anything, who have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
So for real higher education studies, college will never go away. And I don't think it should. I think it is great. For people that can afford it, I still think it's great. But for everyone else that the system has forgotten about, you don't go to where the information is anymore. Because now the process and the creation of information has been totally democratized. Initially by the internet, well, first by books, right? The printing press. That was the first paradigm shift
Mm-hmm.
because it was really hard to write and it was really hard to read. But more people could read than they could learn how to write. So the printing press was created and it democratized the transfer of information. So then you had books. From there, things then went digital. Took a long time, obviously. But then it went digital and now it's on the internet. The democratization of information is now totally, totally global. Okay. Then it went into your phone. So now it's mobile. Now you don't have to go to the computer to get your information. Now it's in your pocket. And now you have a new paradigm shift with AI. Because now the information is created in front of you. So you don't have to go anywhere for it. Now it's there. Information is the business at the end of the day. And
I
so
think
that's why the process of school has to change. And no one is focused on that whole generation of people that have been completely forgotten about. And that's why I'm doing this. I don't need to do this. Like I have 7 other jobs.
I mean, that's pretty interesting that the way you put it, the way you articulated it's pretty interesting and pretty neat, if I may call it, because of course you don't want to eliminate or replace elementary school. That's not what you want to do. You don't want, you're not teaching people and kids how to read and write. But what you're doing is actually making people learn a skill set that they're going to use eventually in their life, and that's something that schools and education system does not teach. And I want you
Sales will
touched.
better the new economy,
Yeah,
2024, 25, and beyond.
you mentioned about two things. You mentioned about you teach people how to sell, and
Yep,
you mentioned about AI. I want to quickly jump into like two topics, and we're towards the fag end of the interview, so we'll just quickly jump into like a couple of questions more before we let you go. Um,
sure.
you mentioned about you teaching people to how to sell. If you were to create a sales pitch of selling your own membership, why should people become a Sell It member, or what would be your sales pitch look like?
Why should someone become a Sell It member?
Yeah, I mean, if you were to prepare a sales pitch to sell your membership, or maybe why should someone become a Sell It member? If you could like pitch your membership, say like 3 steps, what would it be?
Well, step one is that you're joining not just for what you're going to learn, but you're also joining for the community. One of the great things about school and college is a community. You make friends, right? You make friends, you learn, you meet other people, you network, which is what you asked me about before.
Yeah, yeah.
The community, Sell It.com, is global. It's across every language, it's across every country. It's pretty incredible. And the business that gets done from it, and the relationships that get created, and the events that get created from it, are, they've taken on lives of their own. And so
Hmm.
being part of that community, I think is really great. And I think the world has gotten lonelier and lonelier and lonelier. We're either stuck in front of a screen, or we're stuck in a car, or we're stuck in our house all day, every day. We don't go outside nearly as much as we used to. I don't know what those stats are, but I saw one. I don't want to misquote it, but it was like terrifying. Okay. So, first is the community. Two, it's incredibly inexpensive. And
Hmm.
for what you, right? The information has been democratized to be as efficiently priced as possible. And you get so much more. It's number
Okay.
three. You have courses, take them on your own, take them with others. We do what we call
Hmm.
asynchronous cohort. There's one-on-one coaching, there's brand coaching, there's so much without kind of going all the way into it. But people can just go and they can go check it out and read about it and learn about it. I think it's an amazing community of like-minded people who are looking to better themselves through selling whatever it is they sell.
That's really interesting. My follow-up question with that to that would be: you mentioned we spoke about AI, right? Like we having information in front of us all the time. We see information being built or made in front of us through AI and Midjourney and Google Bard and a lot of Chat GPT and a lot of things. Just give them a prompt and then it'll give you answers in front of you. So do you think AI will? I mean, people say AI will replace jobs. And the most debatable conversation probably of the last year and probably this year as well is will AI replace jobs? So do you think what's your take on AI taking over the world, AI taking over jobs? Do you think AI will take over jobs, or do you think our jobs is safe enough and AI just makes it a little more efficient for people to conduct their jobs?
So a couple things. AI is a paradigm shift. In 50 years, we're going to look back and we're going to say pre-AI and post-AI. I think we all have consensus there. Two, Peter Thiel, one of the members who created PayPal, first investor, Facebook, and all that,
Because
um, said in his book Zero to One, which is a great book for anyone who wants to read a book. The greatest businesses of the next generation are going to be those that use technology to empower people, not replace them. Okay. Three, I think the conversation is wrong about AI. I don't think AI will take away anything. I think AI will do tasks. It's really what it is. It's a tool, it's a resource. So I think the question is then, what tasks will people be able to empower themselves by having AI do tomorrow versus today? And I don't think that removes jobs. I think it changes them. So if you're a copywriter, your job might now be to use AI to do what you did before that would take you 100 hours that now you can do in 15 minutes
Mhm.
to now empower you to do so many other things that you're probably capable of doing. But the task that you are being paid for pre-AI, you don't need to be paid for anymore.
Mhm.
And I think that's scary for some. I don't think it will replace jobs. I think it's easy to say and it's fun to say. It's a headline, and that's about it.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. I mean, we've probably had like a masterclass on selling and how to sort of build your income and grow your income if you are just getting started. A very, very, very
And awesome.
fresh perspective in terms of solopreneurship and personal branding as well. Just a couple of last questions before we wrap up. What's like the most weird, absurd question that you've been asked as a real estate broker?
I had somebody who said, "Where will my kangaroo go?"
Okay, okay. What's the story like?
There's a guy who had a pet kangaroo in New York City,
Wow.
had a big enough apartment where it could go. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to help him because kangaroos are considered exotic animals, and you're not allowed to have those in New York City.
Yeah, yeah.
Never forget that.
Awesome, awesome. Firstly, thank you so much, Ryan, for doing this. This has been a lot of fun. We've this has been like a sales masterclass of sorts. I'm sure the audience who have been with us for this long have gotten so much from this conversation that I'm sure they've not gotten it from schools. So thank you so much for your time and your insights. Would you like to pitch anything? Would you like to say something to our Indian audience? Please feel free to
I,
take
I,
the next 30 seconds
I
and
yeah. No, thank you for the opportunity for being here. I can't wait to come to India. I've never been before. I have a lot of
uh,
agents who are clients who are based there. Two, for anyone that's interested in learning about sellit.com or anything that we do, go check it out. We created a discount code. It's 20% off site wide. You just have to use the discount code DEEPAK, DEEPAK.
okay, yeah.
Go check it out. And then lastly, I have a new show that comes out on Netflix globally, all about real estate, yes, and sales and everything. So be on the lookout for that in a couple months.
Awesome, awesome, guys. I'm sure it's been like a masterclass for you guys. I'm sure you like the episode. I'm gonna link all the links about Sell It, about Ryan, about what he does. I'm gonna link all his social media channels as well in the description below. And you can use my code Deepak DEEPAK to get a 20% off site wide across all the websites across countries, so that you can, I'm sure it'll add a lot of value in your life. Because I've had it, I felt it in the past 1 hour speaking to Ryan about it. And it's been wonderful. Thank you so much, guys, for listening and tuning into it. I will link Ryan's social media, Instagram, Facebook, Tinder, Bumble, if there is, in the
No, no
description.
dating.
In the description. And yeah, thank you so much for joining in. Hope you had a fun-filled conversation. And thank you so much for tuning in. See you next Friday at 6 p.m. Till then, it's a wrap. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ryan, for doing this.